All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Golden State Warrior video as we talk a little bit about a break that the Warriors may have gotten in the last 24 hours that really could impact their offseason. First, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California on the Monterey Peninsula. Call Anthony Catanias at 831-521-5264. And he's a great follow on Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. And the show is also sponsored by Learn Key Upskill Academy, an online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. Whether you're interested in IT, cybersecurity, marketing, or another high demand field, they offer over 30 certification programs to help you take that next step in your professional career. They've been in business for almost 4 decades. They've helped over 200,000 students. They place about 100 students a month in well-paying jobs. So the link's in the description below. Learn Key Upskill Academy. And thanks to all of our sponsors for being proud sponsors of the Krug Show. All right. Shams Charania reported yesterday that Deandre Ayton is finalizing a contract buyout with the Portland Trailblazers. And then Brett Siegel, also on X, reported that the Lakers, the Celtics, the Warriors, and the Milwaukee Bucks all have clear needs at the center position entering NBA free agency, which began today. So, Ayton is an interesting player. He reached the NBA Finals not that long ago as the center of the Phoenix Suns. He's not old. And it's really bizarre that the Blazers didn't want to trade him. Instead, they just cut him. You just don't see guys cut that produce when they're 7 feet tall and they're 26 years old. And that's the situation here. DeAndre Ayton last year averaged 14.4 points per game. He averaged 10.2 rebounds per game. So those are good numbers right there, points and rebounds, 14 and 10. He averaged 14 and 10. He averaged 1.6 assists per game, 1 block per game, 0.8 steals per game, 1.7 turnovers per, 2.2 fouls per game. He shot 57% from the field and 19% from three-point line. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes. He's not a three-point shooter. But you're talking about a guy who's 26, 7 feet, about 260 pounds, 270 pounds, and he's 26 years old. And after the All-Star break, he averaged 25 points and 14 rebounds, and they still bought him out of his deal. So, obviously they've got some other players. Portland wants to go in a different direction, but you couldn't trade this guy? Find that really hard to believe. Now, some people think he's not coachable. Some people think he doesn't play hard. I personally think, that this is a guy that it's all about the environment. You put him in a locker room with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and I think you're not going to have those problems. I think he's going to play hard. I don't think he's going to coast. At times it looks like he's coasting. At times you would suggest that maybe DeAndre Ayton doesn't play all that hard. But you look at Golden State at the center position, they have a clear need at the center position. Now, Kevon Looney's a free agent. They could bring him back, but they probably shouldn't. They probably should just let him walk. So what does Golden State have at the pivot? They've got Quentin Post, who's a really nice player. He's a young player. He needs to get stronger. But, man, I like his intensity. I like everything about him. He shoots the ball. He's got a really nice touch. The arrow is pointing up on Quentin Post. There's no question about that. He gives you that perimeter stretch 5, that stretch 4 or 5 look that is so in vogue in the NBA right now. Quentin Post gives that to you. He will stretch the floor, he will spread the floor, and he will knock down those shots. And he will knock down a higher percentage of those shots as time goes on. So you have Quentin Post at the 5. You have Looney if you want to bring him back. You also have Trace Jackson Davis. Now, Trace Jackson Davis is a little bit more of like a power forward center. He doesn't really have much of an outside shot, but he can hang out along the baseline and, get, for dunks and bunnies and 2-footers and that kind of thing. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis played 4 years at Indiana. He knows how to play. He knows how to position his body. He knows how to defend. He knows how to rebound. He knows how to play. He knows how to play in the half court. He knows how to play in the full court. He's a smart player. And he's a developing player. So, I mean, the cupboard is not bare at center with Quentin Post and Trace Jackson Davis. But, and as far as Ayton, he made $26 million a year in his previous deal. So now you wouldn't have to pay him nearly as much. Bobby Marks pointed out that he had $35.6 million left on his expiring deal. The Lakers have a lot of interest. According to the reports, the Lakers, the Celtics, and the Bucks are also teams that have a lot of interest. And it's the Warriors, I think, were planning on battling the Lakers for Brook Lopez. But maybe now Brook Lopez goes to the Lakers and maybe Ayton comes to the Warriors. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the Lakers make a big play for Deandre Ayton, leaving Brook Lopez to come to Golden State. I will say this about there's people that say, oh, well, Ayton's a bad attitude. I don't think he's a bad attitude. I think he's just been on some teams where the chemistry wasn't quite right. Portland was a young team and with guys that are just kind of trying to figure it out. Phoenix was more of a veteran team. They did go to the finals. But, players can be one way in one stop and a totally different player in a different spot. And if you don't believe me, study the career of Andrew Wiggins. He was totally tuned out. Before he got to the Golden State Warriors, he was totally tuned out. And people were like, he coasts. He doesn't play hard. He's not really into it. He's not much of a competitor. He tunes out the coach. He doesn't bring it every night, blah, 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 blah. Well, it all was true. But suddenly he came to the Warriors and suddenly he played hard. Suddenly he was, Steve Kerr convinced him, hey, man, you need to defend. You need to rebound. If you do, we'll win a title. Guess what? He did. He committed to it, and they won a title. So the same people claiming Wiggins was tuned out and was not a good fit for the Warriors are probably the same people saying that Ayton is tuned out and that he's not a good fit for the Warriors. But I would say a couple things. One, he's 7 feet. He averaged 14 and 10. He's only 26. After the All-Star break, he averaged 25 points and 14 rebounds. After the break. For the rest of the year, 25 and 14. I want a 26-year-old center who averages 25 and 14. Also, Deandre Ayton is one of only 4 players in the NBA to average 10 points a game and 10 rebounds a game over the last 7 NBA seasons. So he's been remarkably consistent throughout his career. So I think it just makes a lot of sense. You're going to have to beat out the Lakers and the Celtics and the Bucks to get him. But you know what? You got Steph Curry, you got Draymond Green, you got Jimmy Butler. In a lot of ways, I think this is the perfect spot for Deandre Ayton. He's 26, so he's young enough to be young, but he's, got enough experience where he can still help you. He's not raw like a young player. Trace Jackson Davis still is a relatively young player. Quentin Post is a very young player. So you need some more age. You need some more experience, but you don't want such age that you have a guy who can't get up and down. This guy can get up and down the floor. He can get up and down the floor. He averaged 25 and 14 after the break. He's one of only 4 players in the last 7 NBA seasons to average 10 and 10. So he's been remarkably consistent. And I think this would really be a nice piece. The Warriors did not draft a big player in the draft, almost as if they knew they were going to be able to find a big player in free agency. And I wasn't sure that Ayton was going to find his way to the market. But the fact is he has, and that's a huge break for the Warriors. So Shams reported the buyout with the Blazers is official. Siegel reported the Lakers, Celtics, Warriors, and Bucks are all very interested in adding a center. The Lakers, you would think on paper, are their number one competition, but maybe they prefer Brook Lopez. And I would love to see Ayton at 26 on a front line with Draymond Green, Trace Jackson Davis, Quentin Post. I think it would be great. You know, I love Kevon Looney. He's been a very good Warrior, but I'm okay with letting Kevon walk away in free agency if you could add a player like Deandre Ayton. You know, if you can add a guy who averages 14 and 10, who averaged 25 and 14 after the break at the 5 spot, I mean, this move alone might be the kind of move that could elevate the Warriors back into a deep run for another title. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about trying to get Steph Curry one more ring. And I think DeAndre Ayton would be a great addition. So there you go. Mike Dunleavy, get it done. Get her done. Bring DeAndre Ayton to the Warriors. All it's going to take is cash, and probably not even a lot of cash. But a 26-year-old big man who averaged 14 and 10 is just on the street. You need to bring him to the Warriors. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corners, Sports Cards, and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to LearnKey Upskill Academy for sponsoring this video as well. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.